Graphing a linear inequality. So here we're graphing inequalities. I remember being taught this lesson in 8th grade. So don't tell me that you've never done this, because I know you have. We do need to talk kind of about when we do some graphing here, like the less than and greater than symbols. When you graph those things, because you're graphing lines, but are they solid or dashed? Do you remember?
Doesn't it depend on if it has the line equal or not, right?
Yes, Dylan, depends on if there's a line underneath it or not. Do those have lines underneath them?
I think those are
So are they dashed or dotted? I say dash, but dotted works too. These are dashed lines.
That sounds cool. The other ones are solid, right?
Of course they are, because what's underneath them? A solid line, an equal.
Yeah, that's how.
So I know you've seen that. Now, when I do these, I don't actually initially, I don't even really think about the inequality symbol. I think about there being an equal symbol. This is like x equals -6. What kind of line is that? Vertical. Vertical line crosses the x-axis where? At -6. Obviously, when I do this one, I'm going to do a dashed line because I see that inequality symbol. Now, this is a greater than symbol. Generally speaking, a greater than symbol means to shade right or above. You really can't shade above that line, but can't you shade to the right of it? Yeah. And it makes sense because you're shading greater than -6. You know, 0 is greater than -6. 1 is greater than -6. So you just shade over here. And after we do a couple of these, I'll pull up IXL and we'll walk through it just so you can kind of see how it works. Huh? Again, once we do a couple, I'll pull up IXL and we'll do a couple of them. And that way you can see how it works. Okay? Just for the purpose of our notes, let's change this one. I am changing the equation to become y is less than -1. So if you don't change that, when you look back in your notes, you can be like, well, why did he do that? I'm changing it, okay? We just did a greater than symbol. I want a less than symbol next. What kind of line is just y equals -1? The horizontal crosses where? -1. Grant, you paying attention? Then look at, and Christina said it's a dotted line. Now, Ty is saying shade below. Does that make sense? Because -2 is less than -1. -4 is less than -1. And I'm going over these things because sometimes kids have a hard time with, how do you shade? They really have a hard time with it. Generally speaking, less than is below or left. And that's generally speaking. It's not, doesn't always appear to be that way, but generally speaking, that's what it means, below or left. Now, has anybody run across anything that they're going to have any difficulties with? There were a handful of you in here that couldn't graph like x equals 2 on the last quiz, or y equals something. Couldn't do it. So you need to work on that, kids. Been doing that for a long time. Next up on our little piece of paper is y is less than or equal to 5x. And I just want to focus on y equal 5x. What form is that in? That's in slope-intercept form. It really is. The form is y equals mx plus b. Because what is understood to be added to this 5x? That is understood. You've got to understand what's understood, kids. It's understood that you can add 0 to anything. If I add 0 to my weight, it still says fat on a scale. Okay? That's understood. So where's this thing cross the xy axis? 0. And there were a handful of kids I had that couldn't graph stuff like this on the last quiz. How did you get to be a junior? You're like a turtle on a fence post. Somebody put you up there. You didn't get there.
Yeah, that's facts.
And you're stuck.
I've never heard anyone say that.
Turtle on a fence post? Somebody put it there.
I didn't know that. You're stuck. Shake that.
Oh, we got to graph it first. After I plot that point at the origin, what do I do? Over 1. Rise 5, run 1. Solid or dashed? Solid. There's an equal sign. And that is a less than symbol. Now, I said that generally means left or below, but if you shade left, are you below? It ain't a shade left. I probably should have said below or left because it's actually the above and below that have precedence.
You're just shading right, isn't it?
Yeah, you're shading right because this covers territory that is under the graph. See the shaded region? Does it ever kind of get above the line? No. Think about that, less than below. And less than left usually works too if it's vertical, but it doesn't work in this situation. This is a slanted line. So let's write that down. Less than on slanted lines. Shade below. Greater than on slanted lines would be above. Everybody should remember doing this. Usually you had colored pencils and teacher tried to make it fun.
Oh, yeah, they said you colored pencils.
I think everybody remembers the colored pencils.
What's that last word?
On a slanted line, shade greater than on a slanted line, shade above. All right, let's do the one right underneath this. And can somebody besides the usual 3 or 4 people tell me where my first point is going to be plotted? You're a usual person. I guess I'll call. Spencer, what do I do from there? How? You need 2 points to draw lines then. How do I find my other point, Spencer? Yeah, what do I do with that other 4? What's it tell me? What's this other 4 represent? So what do I do? Shut up, Ty. So tell me what to do, Spencer. Yes, you do. If it's rise over run, it's 4 over 1. You rise 4 and run what? There you go. This one dashed or solid, kids? It's dashed. Sam, how you want to shade?
Below?
Below, right and below. Only this territory right here is actually below. You need to see that. And I don't know how to explain that better, but to me it appears to be below. If I shade on the other side, it would appear to be above. All right. This isn't taking too terribly long. Now, the next example we do, there's 2 common ways to do it. And everything I did on IXL, you can kind of do what most teachers teach to do on a problem like this. And I'll just see if you guys have an idea how you want to do it. You have 5x plus y greater than 5. What do you want to do with that equation? Subtract 5x. And if you want to keep it in slope-intercept form, you actually need to do that first. It'd be y greater than negative 5x plus 5. And everyone that I did yesterday on this, that worked. Just going to slope-intercept form worked. I'm not saying it won't always work, but everything I did, it did. Logan, where's the first point going to be plotted? This is the equation we got from manipulation. 5. And after you plot that y-intercept, what are you going to do? Nope, not anymore. You were looking at your laptop earlier.
Big negative.
Logan, here's the equation that we wrote. I'm not going to rise 5. What am I going to do? Son, slope is rise over run. Everything exists over 1. I fall 5 and down 1. Solid or dashed line, kids? Dash. The symbol here is greater. Going to shade to the right because only to the right are you actually shading stuff above your line. I'm only going to do one more of these and I'll pull up IXL and we'll do a couple. That's greater than. Greater means above, doesn't it? If you drew some stuff down here, Grant, would it be greater? It would be below, wouldn't it? Only the stuff over here is above, truly more.
Okay, so we're going off -5, right?
No, we're going off this.
I know, but this is supposed to.
Or you mean the slope?
Yeah, we're.
I don't know what you're comparing it to, like greater than.
Yeah, what are we making it greater than? Like,
Who cares?
It's not the line. Like, look, everything,
The line, that's a
everything on the
whole-
right side of the line is more than the lines on instead of the left.
Well, who cares? Greater than means above. Less than means what? That's what we care about. I'm not trying to make a comparison. I know when you were taught this in 8th and 9th grade, the teacher had you plug in points, didn't they? I don't do that. That's a waste of time. Greater than is above, less than is below. That's all you got to know. Don't sit there and look at the equation and ask what you're comparing to. Greater is above, less is below. That's all that matters. Sorry if it's confusing, Grant, but I don't like to plug in numbers and waste time. Last one we're actually going to do before I pull up some IXL is this one. And some of y'all weren't paying attention last time at all as to what we did with the equation. So you need to fix that. Your goal here is y equals mx plus b. Ty says subtract 7x. Negative 4y greater than negative 7x plus 12. Why'd I put it there? Because it's mx. It's not b plus mx, it's mx plus b. Now, I'm here and divide by negative 4. Also here and divide, flip that sign. So the negative 4's cancel each other on the left. Sam volunteered a sign flip. Why do you flip the sign? Divide by negative. Negative over negative is positive. And a 12 divided by a negative 4 is a minus 3. You're going to have to manipulate some of these things, kids. There's nothing I can do about that. You've got to manipulate it. I did leave off the line. Thank you. Now, Grant, I'm going to pick on you for this. That is less than equal. How's that? How do you shade? How do you, when we draw our line, how do you shade based on that symbol less than? Below. Don't sit there and think about the meaning of life, son. It's not as complex as y'all want it to be. It's where it's not. Y-intercept at negative 3. Once we plot that y-intercept, what do we do? Rise 7, run 4. Should be about right in there. Solid or dashed? Solid. Grant said shade below. That would be over here. That is literally space below the line. You agree with that, Grant? You see how easy it is? I hope you do. It
That's
is.
where I get confused.
Shading? A lot of kids get confused on shading. Why is this below? Because literally, it is below. It's below it. It's less than. You know, if you shade it up here, that's above. That's got to be more. Maybe we should plug in numbers and see where it works or not. Anyways, I said I would do some of this on IXL so you kind of see how it's graphed on IXL. And I haven't highlighted the lesson yet. I'm not going to until tomorrow when I take off everything I've assigned. Doesn't mean you can't do it, I just haven't highlighted it yet. That was C8, graph two variable linear inequalities. It kind of gives you a hint on what to do. Plot points on the boundary line, select the line to switch between solid and dotted, select a region to shade it. So this is y less than or equal to 3. What kind of line is that? Horizontal. I'm going to have to plot 2 points where y is what? 3. It is solid, which is what IXL does by default. Okay. And I want to shade how? Less. Below. Notice I had my little shader up after I plotted the line. You just click the region. And it's done. Here's a y greater than -3. So where do I plot points? I got to plot 2 of them at -3. Now, shaded or dashed? So what I do is I hold my cursor over the line, and what do you see? I see dashed lines, so I click. How do I shade? Above. It's not obvious. So that's really all there is to using it. What are you doing, Sean? Not yet. Not yet. God, I can't wait till those phones are out of this classroom. Y'all are listening to music 24/7. Y'all are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Permanently distracted. Those things have made your generation dumb as rock. It's horrible. Anyways, does anybody need any help using the IXL tool? All right, this probably should have been talked about earlier, but I didn't talk about it at the time. Writing inequalities. You are writing equations. It's actually really, really easy. For one, this entire section is multiple choice. So it's really, really, really easy section. And the goal is to write inequalities given descriptive text. And I don't really know that you have to read the whole thing. You have to do a couple of these because I never do, but I'll read the first one to you if you can't read. Professor Stone is packing up books in she office, interesting, to move to a new location. A small box can hold 15 books and a large box can hold 33 books. In total, these boxes must hold, look for keywords, at least 362 books. Which is the total number of books in the professor's office. Select the inequality in standard form that describes the situation. Use the given numbers and following variables. So what they're doing is they're calling X small boxes and they're calling Y large boxes. Almost every equation is set up the same. You call something X, you call something Y. If there's a third thing, you call it Z, whatever. But then you just put a number out in front of it that describes X. Okay? When I talk about X being the small boxes, what's something that might describe it? 15. It holds 15 books. Okay? So I kind of see that and I think, okay, 15X. The large boxes are called Y, and I see 33 books. I see 33Y. That's what I see. Now the goal is to hold how many books? At least. Okay? I can hold 15 books per box here. I can hold 33 books per box there. So say I had like 5 and 10. If I had 5 small and 10 bigs, I would multiply together and then add. That'd be the total number of books that I can hold. Now, Sean saw the word at least. What was the symbolism you used?
Less than.
That's wrong. At least is greater than or equal to. You know, I know that's kind of a rough one for some kids, but at least is greater than or equal to. Always. Unless somebody has just completely messed up the sentence.
Oh, I spelled the problem around, so I put,
Yeah, that's not standard form. You're going to be an engineer. Learn to love standard form. Standard form is variables on the left, numbers on the right. Anyways, greater than or equal to what? 362. It doesn't matter if we have an extra box or we have a little extra space, but we can't have books left over that aren't packed. Okay? And the word at least makes more sense sometimes when there's food involved or something like that, or money. Here's a guy, farmer, he's purchasing some bulls. Yeah, that's it. It's a really easy section. You only have to get to an 80 because the questions never get, the difficulty level is pretty consistent. Like that was the difficulty level. They changed the wording around. So an 80 is fine because you're going to see everything you need to see. To grow his ranch, a rancher is purchasing some bulls, which I thought was kind of funny. Most people who run cattle usually have one good bull, sometimes two. They pay good money for them. Anybody here run cattle? No? How many bulls have y'all got?
I work for a farm. We got 4.
That many bulls?
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising.
We gotta have,
What are you doing, giving them some time off?
yeah. Like for real, they gotta have.
No, that's serious, because when a bull goes out into pasture, they don't do anything but make
And
babies.
They'll fight and stuff, so you gotta give them, you gotta have more than one. One of them gets tired.
I guess it depends on how many heifers it's serving, huh?
And usually, like, if we'll have one bull, he might be the father of some of them, so we'll have to have another one.
I didn't think about the that part. But I remember when I was a kid, we had a lot of cattle farmers. And usually what people would do is they'd rent a bull for a month. Well, instead of paying thousands and thousands of dollars for a bull, because he matters a lot, you would just rent a bull from somebody for a month and release them in your
That's what a
pasture.
lot of people still do. We AI usually, but then we have a backup pool.
But they are busy creatures. Yes, their entire job is to go out there and breed. So they're busy. And some cows, which cost $880 apiece. He doesn't want to spend more than $33,000 this time. So I don't think you'll have a problem writing the initial equation. We're calling bulls X. So when you see 7,200, what are you thinking? 7,200X, right? We're calling cows Y plus 880Y. That should always be the easy part. You know, the hard part is the symbolism. He doesn't want to spend more than 33,000. Ty says less than equal. That makes sense to me. Greater than equal would make no sense because he didn't want to spend more than that. And I'm sure he wants to spend less if possible. So that makes perfect sense. And that really is about as difficult as these questions get. That's why I only have 2 more. Why don't you guys try to write the sculpture question? Oh, sorry, was there a question?
I just said it wrong, and the apple thing was going for.
Apples and watermelons and yeah. Well, you probably did some of this in 8th grade or 9th grade. The one underneath.
That's all we gotta do.
Do the one about the sculpture right underneath.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do.
Yeah, you're just writing an equation, son. There's no way to solve for X or Y. They didn't give you enough information.
You gotta solve large stuff.
We didn't have to sell that much stuff.
You gotta sell like 10 large ones and like 1 small one just to meet the dough.
It's not much stuff.
Man, you heck one about the sculptures.
People with money.
I like chicken nuggets.
Chandler, you come up with anything? What'd you come up with?
630 ounce plus log, scrambled.
Anybody got any questions for Chandler? That was perfect. Anybody at all? Well, then I guess I'm not gonna do anymore. There's your 2 lessons. I'm gonna give you a work day tomorrow so I can get grades done.